Hey guys, thanks for checking out Scare Talk. But before we get to all the horror goodness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the platform that we use to upload our podcasts. Anchor distributes the podcast to Apple, Google, Spotify. It's free. It's super easy to do. You can record, you can edit straight on their website, anchor.fm, or you can download the mobile app and do a lot of the same. You can make money with no minimum listenership. Yeah, get out there, man. Start making a podcast.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Oh boy, this is Scare Talk. I am Danny, and I'm here with Joel, the Jolly Green Giant.
Hey guys, what's up?
All right. Today we are going to continue with the Purge franchise review series with third installment, Purge Election Year. Joel, who was in this?
Yes. This one stars Frank Grillo. He is in The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, Zero Dark 30, My Soul to Take, which is Wes Craven's best movie ever. Remember seeing that in theaters, like the 3D, and it was not very good. Also, Elizabeth Mitchell. She was in Running Scared, The Santa Claus 2 and 3. And a little show called Lost.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was in a pretty good chunk of that show. And also, McKelty Williamson, he plays Joe. He was in Free Willy 1 and 2.
Oh.
Forrest Gump.
Oh.
Lucky Number 11. And 17 episodes of 24.
Yes. Dude. When I saw him on screen, I was like, oh my gosh. Who is this guy? I know this guy.
Yeah.
And he's got like a certain swagger about him. I really like him.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
I'd like to see him. I mean, apparently he's done a lot of stuff. But
he has, yeah.
I only really recognized him from 24. So
you recognize him? He was Bubba in Forrest Gump.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with Forrest Gump.
Yeah. He was one of the main people I remember from that movie, just because he was like the Civil War friend of his, and he was gonna like have a shrimp boat with him after the war. Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Okay, so he's Bubba from Bubba Gumps.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was written by James DeMonaco. He wrote a TV movie called Hate, Skinwalkers, and Little New York. And this is directed by James DeMonaco. This is going to be the last Purge movie that he directs.
Okay.
He directed Little New York, Purge 1 through 3, and Once Upon a Time in Staten Island.
All right.
Which comes out, I think, this year, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Former Police Sergeant Barnes becomes head of security for Senator Charlie Roan, a presidential candidate targeted for death on Purge night due to her vow to eliminate the Purge. So, getting more into little politics in the Purge series here.
Probably the most political of them all. Well, they're all pretty political in their own ways.
Yeah.
But you don't get much political than election year as being your title. But the next one's pretty political as well. But so.
Okay. So, a question before we get into this.
All right.
The Purge takes place at a certain time. I don't remember the time. I don't know if they say, is it like 7 o'clock? Something like that.
I think it's like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. or
Yeah.
8 p.m. to 8 a.m., something like that.
I wonder if it depends on what coast you're on. So, like, if you're on the East Coast, do you start purging at 7 p.m. and then the West Coast you have to wait? Do you start purging at 4 on the West Coast?
I don't think they put that much thought into these movies.
Like, can you start purging, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, and then you have to wait on the West Coast to 7? Like, can you travel from place to place and purge? Different time periods?
You're risking like getting killed if you travel, but
it was something I thought of. I'm like,
yeah.
Wonder what happens on the other side of the country.
What are the rules? Yeah. I mean, it's a good question. Like my thing is the timeline. I'm trying to figure out the timeline for all these movies.
Yeah,
like
when they take
what
place.
Year,
yeah.
And this one actually does a fairly good job of that. It doesn't give us a year or anything, but we do know that they're 18 years into the Purge. This movie.
That is mentioned.
Which makes the last one make more sense because I think they mentioned that this takes place 2 years after Anarchy.
Oh, okay.
So I saw a description of it that said that 2 years after the events of Anarchy.
Okay.
Because the same guy from Anarchy. That's the main character in this one.
Right. That's true.
And so it makes Anarchy make more sense to me because of how people acted. Yeah. The fact that people were so gung-ho and just so, like, out to kill people makes sense that this is 16 years into this world.
Yeah.
This is like a whole generation of people.
Right.
That, grew up in this world.
Yeah.
And it makes Anarchy make more sense knowing that we're that far into this future of ours. So yeah, I do like that about this movie, the timeline of it. I mean, we still don't know a year or anything, but from the first movie, we know that like we saw footage from like 2021 and 2022. So we can assume that maybe 2023 is when it started.
Right.
Because, I mean, they were showing footage of, like, life before the Purge kind of thing. So, I mean, if you want to go by that, I mean, I don't think that they're really that... I don't think they care that much about the timeline in these movies.
No.
But I just want to know a year. I just want to know when this takes place.
Yeah. I want to know what we can expect, in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, this is supposed to take place in, like, 2 years.
Yeah.
Or next, 2022. Yeah, 2 years from now.
Yeah.
So, I want to know, like, if this actually ends up happening at some point, that's definitely the beginning of the end of this country.
Yeah.
Like, there's no coming back from...
from
not only thinking that it's an okay thing to do, but actually having enough votes to actually go through with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to actually make it a reality.
Yeah.
And this is a cool concept on paper, like, for a movie, but...
Yeah, maybe for one movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the concept of it. I like the, I think we talked about this in, like, the first Purge movie, and probably the second, so I'm talking about it for the third time. The concept of it is good. It leaves a world wide open for you to do whatever you want with it. But it's just what they do with it, I'm not a fan of.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about what we liked.
Okay.
Did you like anything?
I can tell by that you didn't. No. I like the timeline. There was an image that I had to write down because of how there was just something about it that just like kind of hit me pretty hard. and it was an image of the Lincoln Memorial with Purge written on the pillars.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's a strong statement.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's like powerful imagery right there. Like you're this is the world that we live in now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this is what like Lincoln ended up fighting for. Like this is the kind of world that we are living in right now.
Yeah.
And it was just like that's a pretty powerful image right there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I had to put that one down there. Yeah, some of the death scenes were, they're probably in the middle because some of them were kind of cool, some of them were a little over the top. I don't know. There's just something about these movies that they could be so much better than they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Given the content, given the storylines and like what it's about, than is actually executed here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember everything about this movie because they kind of all like run together.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm trying to remember exactly what happens in this one. I did have some notes down, but they were mostly for negatives. I thought that I had more positives than I did, but I like, for the most part, at least between the three main characters that I talked about, the acting was pretty good. The acting is not the greatest for most of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's not horrible for some of the characters.
Yeah.
I do like that we kind of got an ending to the Purge in this. Like, this movie could actually end with this movie.
Right.
And it should end with this movie. And yet we got two more after it.
Yeah. Which
I'm okay with having a prequel to it because I kind of want to know how it started.
Yeah.
But we don't need to know anything else after that. Like, I honestly don't even know what this fifth movie is even about. Like, if it's after after she abolished the Purge, like, okay, we're back to normal life then.
Yeah.
I guess. And I guess it kind of makes sense because in this kind of a world, especially like we're almost 20 years into this world, this is kind of a kill or be killed type of situation, type of world that we're living in now.
Yeah.
It's are you strong enough to take a life? And it's usually the ones that don't want to kill are the ones that end up getting killed in this movie. And so what you're left with are a bunch of like murderers.
Yeah.
What you're left with are a bunch of crazy so it's basically doing the complete opposite of what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
Which is, 364 days of the year, the crime is down because they're able to purge this one day a year. If you take that away this far into the future, this far into the purge years, you're left with all of like the angry killers basically out there.
Right.
Like I'm glad that they ended up ending the purge, but at the same time, it's like the country is probably going to end up being worse than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
Because you're wiping out like the innocent people. You're wiping out the people that don't want to kill.
Yeah.
And you're left with the killers. You're left with the people that, have no conscience, basically have no, don't care if you live or die.
Yeah.
And that's the type of people that you're left with. So I am curious to know if that is where they're going with it, which I doubt they are, but you never know. How this story will eventually wrap up.
Yeah.
But we're 3 movies in, and like I was saying, they kind of all run together.
Yeah.
Some of the kills were kind of cool, but for the most part, they were And it makes sense because we are 18 years into this purge that people would get creative with their kills after a while. Like, there's literally a person who gets his head chopped off by a guillotine. Like,
Yeah.
What? Where'd you even get a hold of a guillotine?
Yeah.
And then there's people that are like tied to the front of a car.
Yeah.
And the car is going like 80, 90 miles an hour. Like, okay, what's the end result here?
Yeah.
Are you going to jump out of your car and they're just going to crash into something? Like, I don't know. It's gotten to a whole new level of ridiculous.
Yeah.
In this movie. And, yeah. I mean, so I will always like the story for the most part. It will probably always be a positive of mine for these movies just because I do like the concept of it. But the execution thus far has not been the greatest.
No.
For really any of these movies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For positives for me, I'm trying to find something. I mean, some of the action, I guess, was kind of cool. Some of the fight scenes and kills. And, that's just because I'm trying to find something. But otherwise, I didn't like this movie. I thought it looked cheaper. I thought some of the acting was cheaper. I don't like it when the sound is weird. So, like, some of these characters have masks on. Yeah. And they're, like, talking. And it sounds like they're not even actually talking. Like, it sounds like they just put, like, a voiceover on top of the... they just added this audio after in, like, post-production.
They probably did. Otherwise, it'd be all muffled.
Yeah. It sounds so fake, Yeah. And, like, that just sounds weird. It doesn't come off well on film. So I really didn't like that. The candy bar girl, did not like her. She was
my least favorite of this entire movie.
They're trying way too hard to make people, like, look crazy. And they're really trying to accentuate the fact that just society has gone crazy. But it's just too much. It's, like, not believable,
Wait till you get to the fourth movie.
Oh, gosh.
There's a guy that's just like her.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did not like that at all. Didn't like her. It's just...
all she wanted was a candy bar. Just give her a candy bar.
Yeah, it's so dumb.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, just, they're trying too hard. Trying way too hard to make people look insane. And it takes away from the believability that this is what the world would be. Yeah. If this happened, Well, like, and just like the style of it, like the camera work, just like, okay, she's going crazy, like she wants a candy bar or whatever. Like, that's dumb, but you could make it creepy. You could make it work. You can make anything work if you direct it well, if you write it well. This just looked like a music video or something. Like, it didn't look like a well put together movie. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, I completely understand with that. But like I was saying before, how it's 18 years into this purge world that we're living in. Yeah. And she was maybe 16. So true. All she's known is this world. Yeah. And granted, it's only one day of a year out of the year, but if that's, maybe if that's what you grew up in, then a candy bar is justifiable. Yeah. To kill somebody over. Yeah. And that's definitely a huge issue. Yeah. if you end up getting rid of this purge after so long. Yeah. That's the type of people you're going to be left with after this purge is done. Right. They're gonna quote unquote need to kill, and they'll have all year to do it. Like, there are no designated days anymore to do it. So,
yeah, she was way over the top. She was more of a cartoon villain,
Yeah,
than
for
a
sure.
real person.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, come on, guys. And I'm gonna say the exact same thing with our next episode too.
Okay.
By the way,
All right.
there's a character that's so over the top, but and he's the like first person you see in the entire movie.
Oh,
so.
great! I haven't watched it yet, so.
I just watched it the other day for the first time. Can't wait to talk about that one. And also, so when's election years in this world? Because this was like, she became the president 2 months after this purge in May.
Yeah.
Elections are in November.
Yeah.
And you don't become president until the following January.
Yeah.
So, unless things are different in the future, in this, like...
That's what I was wondering, too.
Why not even make it look more realistic than that? Like, why July? Or May, actually. Not even July. May.
Yeah.
Is when she became president.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
Okay. Because they were talking about, in March, like the day of the purge, someone was talking about the election and how if she just gets this state, she'll go over the 270 that she needs. And it's like, you're already, like, this is election year, like, not election day. I didn't think that the day of the purge was going to be the election. Like...
Well, you know,
like, okay,
maybe they're doing mail-in votes, and they've been tallying votes for months. So.
True. So it's actually, the election was actually like January.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, you could have at least tried in that sense. Like, you could have pushed the election a little, a few more months to November.
Yeah.
And actually, like, made it more realistic.
Yeah. Or given some sort of explanation as to why it's
why
at this
it's
time of
March.
Year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I know it's kind of a small thing, but I mean, it's pretty important in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pretty, they talk about the election throughout the entire movie, so. And then there's like, the whole cop-out, I'm going to put words on the screen instead of showing you what happens.
Yeah.
How she wins the election 2 months. Like, no other movie in this series has done that until, like, this one. Like, okay. You're just running out of money at this point. You're like, let's just put words up there.
Yeah. Not a good movie.
It's... they're getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to the 5th one. I'm hoping it's the last one that we're getting.
Yeah.
Because right now they're just not doing it.
Yeah.
For me. So.
All right, let's grade it.
Sorry for all you Purge enthusiasts out there. This series is not for you. I don't remember what I gave Anarchy, but I'm going to give this one a 61.
Okay. I think you gave Anarchy a little higher, so I'm going 41.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think I gave Anarchy 60s, I think, so this one's definitely a drop for me.
Wow.
I didn't really like anything.
Like that, 5 is going to be like in the teens.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe lower. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of redeeming value to that. Like I was saying, I like a couple of the characters. I like Joe. Joe was a pretty cool character.
Yeah. And
I like that they brought back the guy from the first movie. He played a way bigger part. He was the guy that the son let in. He ended up
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he ended up playing a much bigger part in this movie.
Huh. I didn't even notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was cool that they brought him in it. But, he didn't really do a whole lot in this movie. I mean, I think he was like the leader of something. It's one of their like organizations,
one of the
fighting
groups
back or whatever.
Yeah, one of the anti-purge groups. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, see, that there's so much they could do with this series. Like, I was really hoping at some point they would like fight back against the government.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have that in any of these movies.
There's like little pieces here and there of like, you think it's going to go that way, but they never really fully latch on to that.
Mm-hmm. It's like an ongoing story. If you were making a trilogy or, you know, even 4 or 5 movies, you could have it start with The Purge and then end with, you know, the overtaking of the government or something like that to end The Purge. Like, that's a compelling story. It's not necessarily horror, but it's a compelling story instead of you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah. With no results.
There's no real direction.
No, there's not. Like, I mean, we're about to be, we're, I guess now 4 movies in, and now we have a prequel. Now we have the beginning of The Purge. Yeah. Like, you start the series right smack in the middle of The Purge, and then you work your way forward. Yeah. And it's like, why not just start at the beginning and, you know, take it I mean, I know that concept's been done. Like, Hunger Games is pretty much that is what that is, basically. It's them fighting back and against the government, which is what I like about those movies. There's something that they're fighting for. Yeah. There's something that they're fighting for in this, but they don't do it very well. They're all over the place in this movie or in the series. And, you know, if they had an idea, I mean, it's the same guy. It's the creator. Yeah. Who's done this movie 3 times now.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And I think he writes 4 and 5. He doesn't direct them, but he writes them. And he even created the TV show. It's like, dude, you have a vision.
Or do you?
Somewhat. It's like I don't know. There's so much potential with this series.
It's really eating you up inside.
It is. I want to make a trilogy. I want to make a Purge like trilogy. Man, it'll be like a Hunger Games type of situation, but you know, whatever. Yeah. It'll have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
There you go.
to what we're seeing right now, and it's like,
man, Joel, you're so worked up.
I am, because it's like I keep saying, it's a cool concept. I love the concept of it. It's just the execution is just not there. Yeah. In 3 movies so far, it's not there.
Yeah. But it's a shame.
It is. And I would understand if it was like different writers, different directors every movie. Yeah. But it's the same guy. Yeah. Come on, dude. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. Purge election year. The lowest rated so far out of the 3 we've done. We've got the first Purge coming up.
So far, this ranking is pretty easy.
Yeah. We got the first Purge coming up, and then the Forever Purge coming out this year. So we'll be reviewing that and then ranking them. And yeah, happy 4th of July, and this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let Joe bite.